Hey guys, so tonight I'm actually going to do something a little different that I haven't done before. I'm going to tell you guys a scary story. Well, actually not necessarily a scary story, but a scary dream that I had a while back. Now I had this a while ago, about a year ago actually, but it scared me really bad. I've always had dreams about aliens, oddly enough, either being visited by them or strange things happening, and it's always been very scary for me. But about a year ago I had probably the scariest dream I've ever had, and what's so strange is that this one was much more low-key, sort of. It was much more of a psychological trauma sort of thing that took place. What happened was this: I went to bed and I fell asleep pretty quick, I remember that. And then there was just this loud smack on my table next to my bed. And I woke up and I was laying on my side. And it was totally dark in the room, completely black. I couldn't see anything, but there was just this loud smack that had hit my table. And it woke me up and my heart was just fluttering like crazy. And I reached and I turned on the light. And when I did, there was this figure standing over me. And it was so tall. It had to be like 8 feet tall. And it was just standing there, and it's so strange to me. I want to say this first. It's so strange to me because when I try to remember it, it always sort of fades away. It like fizzles out. It's kind of like if you're doing something that requires you to be repetitive. If you don't think about it, it's much easier to do. But as soon as you start thinking about it, you start to mess up. And that's kind of what it is with this dream. When I don't think about what I saw in the dream, I remember it. But as soon as I start to think about this figure that I saw, the image starts to fade away. The one thing I do remember is that in the dream, this alien, it had the same skin color as me or anyone else really. It was sort of just this tan color. So anyways, I woke up from the slap sound and this thing was standing over my bed, and it was so tall and it was so skinny, and it was just staring at me. And I don't normally freeze up in scary or intense situations. I'm not the kind of person to tense up or not be able to do anything. I always act, always. But in this one scenario, I was frozen solid. I couldn't move. And the reason I couldn't move was because I was so suspended in fear that I couldn't muster up any energy to speak or move any limbs. And this isn't like the same thing that happens in other dreams where you try to run away and you just can't move. This was like I couldn't move my body. I couldn't do anything. And so, and the one thing I could do was I could close my eyes. And so what happened though is that as I was staring at this thing and I couldn't move, it just leaned in and stared at me. And I'm not kidding, it got like this close to my face. And I was so wrought with fear that And when I opened my eyes, I was awake. And it was completely dark in my room. And I was sweaty. And I was shaking from this dream. And as I was laying there in bed in the dark, I heard another bang on the desk right next to me. And I immediately, I froze up and I was shaking again. But just like anyone, I had to check. So I reached over to the light and I turned it back on. And this time, the alien was standing there, but it was already leaned in. It was already just standing there, right in my face. And so I just closed my eyes again, and I kept thinking in my head that this is a dream. This is a dream. You gotta get the heck out of here. You gotta get out. Something's gonna happen when you close your eyes. You're gonna close your eyes, and something's gonna save you. And when I opened them, I was awake again. And it was dark in my room. And this time I was just awaiting the smack on the side of my desk. And there wasn't one. And then I turned on the light one last time, and there was nothing there. But I was so scared that I didn't want to turn the light back off. Mind you, this is a year ago. So I'm the age I am now, and I was scared to turn out the lights. And so I laid there in bed for a minute. And then I was just out. I fell right to sleep so fast. And so I woke up the next morning and I went about my whole day. I was freaked out at first for a while. I told my family about it. But then I went about my day. But later, when I came back upstairs into my room, I noticed that a couple of things had fallen off of my wall. I had CD cases velcroed to the wall, and they had fallen off. And I immediately assumed maybe that's what the smacking sound was in the middle of the night or something. But then there's also the assumption that I'm not saying this is what it was, but what if something knocked them down? And so what was so scary about this dream to me, even though I've had other ones that were really sinister and, they caused bodily harm and all this kind of stuff in these other dreams, the reason this one stuck with me and the reason this one was the reason this one left such a mark, such a malevolent air, was because it was such an invasive psychological dream. And the reason why it felt so invasive was because in a lot of dreams, when you know you're dreaming, you can somehow wake yourself up. Everybody's had dreams within dreams before. And some people haven't been able to wake up. I've had dreams where I've died in the dream and I didn't wake up. But this was still different than that. Because when I woke up and I turned the light back on, this time, this alien was directly in front of me. It had leaned in. And it was like it was saying to me that you're not dreaming. This is real. And I'm here. It didn't feel like a dream where this was a good vibe. This was something where it was trying to tell me something. This felt like real fear. And I've never felt that way before. And I've had lots of things happen in my life that have been very scary very traumatizing and real things. But this was a very psychological thriller, so to speak, for my mind while I was asleep. And I just thought it would be interesting to share that with you guys. See what you thought. Maybe you've had some strange dreams too and you'd like to tell me about them. So, like always, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel and then check out the links below.